Spotlight, Biped. Mael Fabien, CEO of Biped. Gustavo Carvajal, Idea Catalyst.
Thank you, Carrie and Ross. Thank you so much for hosting an event like this. I think it's really, really cool to see that much degree of excitement for new assistive technology, especially in the small field of mobility. So my name is Mael. I'm the co-founder of Biped.ai. I launched Biped about 3 years ago, and we have our first product on the market. And just for the anecdote, the Vista Center was actually one of the first places I visited to demo the device within the first year of the creation of the first prototype. And I'm joined today also by Gustavo, who's one of our very early adopters. So Gustavo, if you want to just say a few words.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity. I am Gustavo Carvajal, and this is my new look. So I have been for years a marketing executive living in New York and commuting with Lisboa. And I'm very fortunate now that I am propelled by NOAA to have a more independent life. That's the reason I'm here. I want to share my journey with you and also to share how is my biped path.
Awesome, and thank you again for taking the time, Gustavo. So in the presentation, we'll just do like a brief overview of what the device is about, and then it's really about Gustavo, and leaving the floor to Gustavo to also explain how he's using his device, and what the kind of benefits he's seeing from it, limitations, where he wants it to go in a transparent way. So as a quick mean of introduction, we're a Swiss company. We are based in Lausanne, in the French-speaking side of Switzerland. We're a spin-off from EPFL, that's a engineering school here in Lausanne. I met my co-founder, Paul, who's our CTO, as he was working on autonomous wheelchairs. And Marco, who's joined us as a COO, was actually one of the co-founders of Sunu, that some of you might know. And Sunu was an obstacle avoidance technology. And so came together and launched NOAA. NOAA is a device that is addressing the target of mobility for those who are blind or have low vision. We've run extensive studies, and the key finding was loss of mobility and independence is very often cited as one of the biggest pains for blind and visually impaired people. And so this is something we want to address. So far, the main methods to address it are really based on training. So depending on the country, depending on the scheme, training is done with orientation and mobility specialists, and they're doing a fantastic job on the field with a base training. For example, here in Switzerland, we've got a base package of 20 hours, and then we've got about 2 to 6 hours of training for every new route A to B. And that part remains quite hardly scalable, especially when you want to discover a lot of new places. And one thing we've also realized is that, looking at existing technology, you've got GPS systems, you've got electronic canes, you've got smart glasses. They can all do something somehow, but quite often a GPS system is not going to be precise enough to tell you when to turn. A smart cane can potentially detect obstacles that are on the way, but they do not detect like ground level obstacles like holes and drop-offs, or they can hardly pick up like lateral moving obstacles. And smart glasses can be used somehow to find the front desk or find elevators, but they're not the most practical to use outdoors for mobility, even though they're doing a great job indoors. And so, thinking about all this, we started to design a product that takes all of these aspects into consideration. How do we build an all-in-one mobility solution that is hands-free, that can guide the person, that can help avoid obstacles, and that can solve this last mile challenge of actually finding the entrance, finding the door of a building, or finding a crosswalk, or like visual elements. We named this device NOAA. So NOAA stands for Navigation, Obstacle, and AI. So we didn't look too far when it comes to finding the name. We literally picked the acronym of the features. NOAA is a small mobility vest that I'm currently wearing on my shoulders, and so is Gustavo. The mobility vest weighs around 2 pounds, 1 kilogram. We have on the left-hand side 3 cameras that have 170 degrees of field of view to replicate the field of view of a sighted person. We have a small AI computer on the right-hand side that has a set of buttons and controls, not to have to control it with a smartphone, but to be able to really just type in on the buttons, and the battery behind the neck. And the key idea is that the device, as you walk, will give you GPS instructions: turn left at 10 o'clock, continue straight for 30 feet. It will give you obstacle avoidance features that you can turn on and off and customize the range with beeps that tell you about an incoming obstacle. And we have integrated AI features to solve this last mile challenge. So be able to find the door, be able to find the entrance, find a front desk, or find, for example, a crosswalk. And so really trying to bundle together all of these features. So that's mostly what NOAA is about. I have a quick demonstration video where on the video we can see someone walking with a cane in the street, avoiding a pedestrian that is on his right, and the person just hears a beep, 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 beep as the obstacle comes closer. The beep itself has a 3D effect, so you can hear it from the top, from the bottom, from left or right. And then we present a small video of what the software actually visualizes inside of the device. So it's running in real time. It's running at about 10 images per second. And so the device basically captures all of the surrounding obstacles and is trying to predict in real time where the obstacles are going and is there going to be a risk of collision. This allows us to filter a lot of the potential obstacles around the person and only plays sounds when it's actually rather relevant. And in the video, the person is then reaching closer to an intersection where the GPS in the same headphones would tell him turn right at 2 o'clock, and the person makes the turn. We've built NOAA as a complement to white canes and guide dogs, involving dozens of orientation and mobility trainers to address the limitations of a traditional white cane without replacing it. And I think that's the main aspect that we usually want to carry. It's a device that is positioned as a next step to someone who's feeling confident walking with a cane, with a fast and scalable training in the sense that learning to use the device, the initial introduction is about 2 hours. And after 8 to 10 hours, we see most people picking up replicable skills for new journeys. The vision around the company is really to go from having people feel safe today when walking in their neighborhood to then feeling empowered to discover the world with the device. And I think Gustavo is probably in a good position to comment on these things. But it's really getting out of the comfort zone, even when it comes to mobility. And for that, what we need to do is make sure that, with devices and with all new types of technologies in general, when we introduce them, people feel confident, they use it, and they actually have an improved mobility. And so that's why we are running very frequent user surveys. And so far on the user surveys conducted, 100% of the user base has declared improved mobility within an average use of 2.3 times per week. So that means it's not a device that you're potentially going to use every single day. It's potentially a device that you would use to commute from A to B and gradually introduce new places that you would like to discover with the device. And yeah, some extra testimonials that we wanted to share also from David Woodbridge, who's working in the assistive tech department at Vision Australia, who was sharing that he was very excited and impressed by his use of the device. And some of the testimonials that we also shot at Sight City in Frankfurt in Germany last year.
Really good experience. It recognizes obstacles around you, and I walk with it without my cane.
Device, and I must say I'm really impressed. I think this is going to be the game changer.
And yeah, as a quick summary word, NOAA is intending to become a navigation device, an obstacle detector, and a pair of smart glasses, but bundled for mobility, essentially, as a complement to white canes. And that's typically, you would see that type of device kick in once white cane training has been completed and once the user has a specific interest in actually exploring the surroundings and discovering new paths and discovering new destinations potentially at some point. All right, so that's it for my presentation. Now I think onto the exciting part, which is the conversation with Gustavo. So Gustavo, thank you again so much for taking the time to have this chat. We've met a while back, actually. So I just wanted to have maybe the story of how you heard about Biped in the first place, Gustavo.
So this is a personal story. I'm a member of the visually impaired community, and it has been also a challenge when I learned that I have to use the white cane. So myself, my family, my husband, we were looking for new opportunities, new devices, technologies. And I have to tell you that for years, personally and professionally, I have been working in marketing for innovation. I'm an idea catalyst. That is a kind of a cool hunter dedicated to marketing. In this case, I became the subject looking for new possibilities. That's the reason, like maybe more than 2 years ago, my computer read me a blur about a Swiss company called Biped. Immediately, I shared this blur of technology news with my husband, and we monitor how I was developing, and even we engage by being part of learning about the newsletter that the company had in those days. But when I say it's personal, it's because last Christmas, I was surprised because my Christmas gift was a tool for a more independent life. That is what I'm pursuing all my life, because I have had my vision condition for many, many years while I was growing and working. And when it was in a different stage, I was looking for something like this. And I was surprised. And it was really for me a very important moment. So that's the reason how I discovered, maybe in a natural manner for me. But what I see in this kind of events is how each person of the community, of the visually impaired community, we need a team around. I say that it takes a village to help a visually impaired person. And when I say village, is also the family, the friends, everybody. So this message has to reach that kind of community. So I was so happy when I learned about this, and it began a team effort. And I began to train myself, but I believe my family, my friends, my husband, everybody is trained and familiar with Biped. But that's the reason I feel that I'm propelled to going to places I know by my old roots, but also discovering new ways to land in those places, and then going to brand new places by myself. That is something that we need, this kind of accomplishment.
Yeah, that's great. And I also remember like just getting the order shortly before Christmas and like rushing in because we had very little supply of devices. So it's definitely like also was a very special one for us. And the very first time we actually had a unit ordered for a Christmas gift, and I found it very touching also as a story. And so maybe like once you got your device, can you share a bit like your story? Because of course there are a lot of things that can be improved around like the training, the content and all these things, but I'm curious also to hear about your training experience and what it feels like unboxing the device and like doing the first sessions with it, and how long it took you to feel confident using it.
Well, but that Christmas was very special for me, and it's a gift that has continued on the time. And using Noah for me on a personal matter too, I'm a trilingual person. I speak English, French, and Spanish. Now I feel myself that I'm learning a new language. I feel that I'm learning new vocabulary, new syntaxes, language syntaxes. Maybe I know that there is not magical solutions. So that's the reason I really feel that I like developing a new sense. Sometimes in my personal case, we know that everybody has five senses, but I believe having this device is like developing new ways of perceptions. So I believe that we need to learn that kind of language and master those skills to be able to walk with confidence. So in my case, I decided to have a brand new dashboard. Sometimes I have to forget things that I usually do and learn new things. It's an academic program for me. So for me is that the key element for be successful with Noah is practice, practice, and practice. I know that you narrate how many of the users, they use the equipment 2 or 3 days per week. I try to use the equipment at the maximum I can. I have it like a resource in the case I went to a place, but now the plan changed and I need to go to a new place. I have Noah. I'm able to do it. So beyond the practice, I have to say that we follow all the instructions as a team at home. Even I have to narrate that at the beginning, I was walking with the cane and the Noah device, and my husband was on my back in silence, looking how I was doing. Like it's like gaining trust in the technology. It's like when you walk with a friend that knows that you have a visual limitation and that person really helps you to go, to stop, to go up, to go down. That is great. But with with this machine, with this device, we have to learn to trust Noah. So it was incredible because it was in a progressive manner. I would say that it was step by step, street by street, corner by corner. So when I'm going to leave, I have a plan. I study my map, the blocks I have to go, how many bus stops, if there is construction, many things that I have to remember. But also with Noah, Noah helps me sometimes when things change to bring like order to the chaos that the city is. So training has been very important. We follow all the features that the device has, the online. And one thing that sometimes I use like an emergency line is the WhatsApp because there is a real-time WhatsApp. When I'm lost, something happened, I type, I record, and I receive a message in real time that help me to do it. And also there is this companion screen that my husband has and can help me remotely. How far I am, how I don't understanding something, because it's like mastering. So for me, nowadays I have to tell you that it's me and Noah because to be transparent, when I received the notice I have to use a white cane, for me was challenging. It was a tough time that I had to digest internally to accept. When I received Noah, was an enabler. It was a complete different paradigm for me. It was a tool that can help me be more independent because attending these centers of independent life, I need the immediately I had the need of having this kind of life to be more equal to others. So training continues for me.
Yes.
Training continues, and each time there is a new feature, I not try to use all the feature at all time. I'm a cautious person, and I master in Noah. And someday I'm going to be maybe a master, a real master of Noah. But now I'm training and following all the instruction and being conscious and use criteria to walk the city.
Yeah, yeah, that's I think a great point you were mentioning on like this continuous training aspect? Because of course there's one aspect where the technology keeps evolving. So it's for example, like next month we're launching a feature called obstacle scan. So it's really, as you get into a new place, there are buttons on the side and you can just press. I mean, by the time the video will be out, it will be released, but you just press on the side of the device and it takes a basically a 3D picture, and then you hear sounds of where the obstacles are located, and then a small sound that tells you which path is open in the area you're entering. And there's one technology evolution aspect, and there's also like the aspect of I think there's no magical solution that without any training whatsoever. I think this is really my understanding of the field after having spent 4 years in the mobility space. There's hardly like a magical solution that takes you to like a new place without any training, without anything, without any other assistive technology that you need to rely on, or without any white cane, or without any support. But I think it's a great like realistic story of like the continuous training. So thanks for sharing this. The parts that I'm maybe like want to approach next is how do you what kind of journeys do you currently do with Noah, and like maybe how do you use it on a like normal day where you walk with the device?
Like I mentioned before, Noah is like my daily companion. I'm with Noah. I believe it's something that I have integrated to my lifestyle. I have to tell you that for 26 years, I have been living in Manhattan, and I know by my neighborhood by heart. So during the process of with my vision, those 26 years were very, very important because I know my environment. But now commuting with Lisbon, because I'm greeting you from Lisbon, is a new city with a different kind of layout, with a different kind of sidewalks, with a different kind of benches, of garbage cans, different kind of how wide are the sidewalks in each city. It has been a learning process and a patient process, because I have to be patient. I call myself and maybe other members of the visual impaired community like athletes, but a special kind of athletes, because it's not an athlete that does something extreme, but it's like a short distance athlete. Why? Because for me, maybe my accomplishment is that I go to the supermarket and buy a couple of ingredients I need to cook dinner. That small trip for me is essential in my daily life. So I live a safe space that is my home, that I know by heart. I feel safe to go to the supermarket. Thanks God, I have a personality that at the supermarket I have a team that helps me to choose the size, the color, the flavor, because I'm a customer there. The problem is the path in a new city. So walking in Lisbon with Noah has been a journey of discovery for myself, because at the beginning it was functional, going to the supermarket, buying and come back, and it was successful. At the beginning, everybody called me if I was able to come back or reach the destination. Okay, so, but I was able to do it. But what happened? Like a month ago, when I came back, there is a new urban park and garden 3 blocks away from home. So I decided to go with Noah to the supermarket, but with one stop at the garden, at the park. That's quality of life. That's not a functional journey. For me, that is what I envisioned when I was sitting down in New York in the Center of Independent Living and asking for desire how to have a better daily life. Stopping there, taking a call, or smelling the grass, or learning that it's a new museum inside that I haven't explored at this moment. It was incredible. So I came back even happier. So those small trips is what I call my accomplishment during the day. So, and I feel empowered to do that. It's a learning process. I'm very blessed that I have a team. I have a connection with the equipment. Also, I was very fortunate to visit the headquarters of the company. While I was giving feedback, I was learning about future accomplishment of the technology. I remember when Mael wrote in the blackboard something and asked the machine to read, and the machine read, "Welcome, Gustavo." For me, it was a surprise how an equipment I can go to places and read the signage. So for me, it's something that gives me more independence. I'm waiting to use all devices because I still depend on the a myriad of people, and sometimes friends and sometimes unknown people on the streets of Manhattan or here who help me to perform my daily life. So it's that kind of thing that now my neighbors see a person walking with something new, a piece of technology that give us more capabilities to travel.
Yeah. Also, I love the expression of the short distance athlete. I think it just summarizes it so well. And you just touched on the, like when you visited us in Switzerland. I wouldn't dare to call it the headquarters because it's really like just an office in a shared space. But but it looks fancy if we call it the headquarters. So let's keep it like this. But when you visited us, you definitely also experienced some of the latest features we were working on that we released since then. So for example, like reading the sign is now mapped onto some of the AI buttons. We introduced also like the overall scene description, or like finding chairs or crosswalks. Of course, like we really try to keep as close as possible to a small group of beta testers and power users who give us feedback before the feature actually reaches market. But I'm also curious to just hear your thoughts very openly on where do you want something like this to evolve? Like where do you want this to go as a technology platform? What do you want NOAA to be able to do? What is missing? Because I think probably the ideas that you have will also resonate with lots of people, and of course like help us like continue to develop the technology.
I have to say that I love this question because maybe you haven't listened, because we haven't talked about this idea of the short distance athletes. Also, lately with my friends in a natural manner, I have been talking about machine learning, but I added human learning. I think that each personal story in our challenge of our daily life, a visually impaired person or a blind person, is quite different. But we have to approach these kind of tools from the possibility and open ourselves and our family have a different perception. How are we dealing with the challenges as an effort, complete effort, and also involving the company that is doing this job. When I went with Lausanne in Switzerland, the conversation for me was important for me, and my performance, but I felt I was listened. When I received then a phone call that you have incorporated and thinking about doing how they are going to do this in the application, how they can eliminate the clicks, less clicks where we interact, to be more hands-free, I felt part of the solution. That's the reason when you invited me here is that it's a community that has to be together, and these kind of events teach us and our caretakers and families how is the challenge, how is technology, and how to address the technology. Maybe into shaping the future, one day I would love to talk to NOAA, and because I talk to many devices at home for many things. That's the reason when a person who is not trained at home is challenged, because there are no switches and they have to speak sometimes in a specific language. In my case, I dream to talk to NOAA and say, okay, NOAA, change of direction. I'm not going to go now to the bakery. I need to go to visit my friend. And maybe NOAA, who's my friend in the neighborhood and has the address, okay, and she gave me direction. So I believe I'm also a person of like maybe being growing up, I was a science fiction person, glued to the television and to the movies, and my career has been in entertainment. So I know how technology has been an issue that it has been taught by science fiction. Science fiction that in one moment help us to understand what is a mobile. So also I would like to see sometimes a person like us of the community with our challenges and difference, but also the technology showcase in a TV show or something to help others understand that there are other technologies that maybe they don't imagine or they don't know they exist in shaping solutions for a specific kind of demographic and communities.
Yeah.
So maybe it's talking to Noah, and in one moment Noah say, "Hi, Gustavo, I'm listening."
Yeah, awesome. I love that idea. Now there are definitely a couple of things that are also in line with some of the things we're building. So I'm just glad you're mentioning this. I think we're reaching probably the end of our discussion. Thank you again, Gustavo, for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for listening. And we have Marco, who's present in the United States, and we're opening up also the US with various distributors around the country, hosting various demo days, because I think the best way to experience this in the first place is probably just to get a demo. And so for that, we have a direct link to Test Noah on our website and see all of the upcoming dates. And so the website is called biped.ai. So that's BIPED.ai. Thank you again, Karen Ross. And thanks, Gustavo, again.